Lisa here. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if this is your first time visiting me. Today is going to be the next installment in my new Magic of Divination series where I'm going to get into the woo side of everything and then relate it to cards, relate it to working with cards, tarot, oracle, whatever. So today I'm going to be talking to you about sensing, feeling, interacting with energy. Now, this is a big topic, so I'm going to try to distill down some of my basic beliefs about it and how I then work with tarot with it, and then I'm going to demonstrate. So the talking part of this video might get a little all over the place. Fair warning, this is my second time attempting this, but I keep wanting to go down every rabbit hole in my brain about this, and I'm going to try not to do that. But I will say that sensing energy, the experience of sensing energy, for me was one of the things that helped me to feel as though magic and things that I can't always see can still be real. It really, for me, was about lived experience, tangible experience, experimenting, and figuring out what made sense to me. So much like my beliefs on magical correspondences, I feel like for me to work with something that I can't see, that I can't quantify or really get some kind of scientific backing for, I really want it to make sense to me, because if it doesn't, I'm going to feel like I'm play acting, like it's not real. So for me, I like to find that pathway to where I can create some sort of logical foundation or logical basis for something that I'm doing. And maybe that's just me sort of hacking my own brain, but it's really helped me to really enjoy and appreciate the woo side of things, because I can find the non-woo sort of underpinnings for it, which is really helpful. Now, for me, the thing that helped me, and I'm getting ahead of myself a bit, I'll talk about some of my very first experiences with sensing energy and what that was like. But first I want to kind of give you kind of a little bit of the backstory on how I was able to sort of work my way through this intellectually. One of the things that really helped me was a very, 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 very rudimentary dipping my toes into the idea of quantum physics. Quantum physics, to me, if you really start to look at it, can create a possible connection between how I feel like a lot of magical practitioners, witches, and the occult practitioners sort of work with energy. I feel like you can kind of create a link between these two schools of thought. The sort of magical, occult, energetic manipulation side and the quantum physics side, to me, share kind of a Venn diagram of overlapping concepts and ideas that I find really fascinating. This is way too much of a topic for me to try to cover in this video, but I'll simply say that if you're looking for something to kind of give you that sort of more science-based, I guess. Quantum physics, I think, I don't know how much validity it really is given in scientific circles. I'm not, I don't know. But to me, it really gave me that foundation, which I think is really incredible. So I read some books, watched some movies, documentary kind of things, kind of wrap my brain around some of the basic concepts. So I'm going to try to shut up about quantum physics now, because I feel like it's just too big of a topic to get into here. I'll simply say this. I think that there can be a case made for things about the visible and invisible universe that we do and don't understand, and ways in which that can link into magic. So if you're struggling with the woo, just know that I did too, and that was one of the things that really, really helped me to create some curiosity about the ways in which this could really have a maybe one day provable basis. Okay, so that little tangent town aside, let me get back on track. My very first experiences with energy were being among other witches and magical practitioners, or just eclectic pagans, in circle, and the ways in which those people that I had met early on would just like take it for granted, I guess, that you could feel and sense energy. I found this completely fascinating, and I would read about these sorts of topics in the baby witch books of the mid-90s. I'm talking about Silver Ravenwolf. I'm pretty sure that one of those Silver Ravenwolf books was my first introduction to the concept of magic, and I wish I could remember which one, or even if it was one of Silver's books. But there was an exercise that it suggested in one of these books. If you're having a hard time understanding the concept of sensing or moving energy, or if you're struggling to believe that it's possible to sense or move energy, and the suggestion was to focus your intention really hard on creating sort of my hands are warming up just talking about this, which is so fascinating to me, but anyways, more on that in a minute. But to focus on sort of creating or generating energy in your body and then directing it at someone else, obviously with their consent, and seeing if they can feel it. Now, I was convinced there was no way this would work, because I was convinced this was malarkey to some degree. So because I was so curious, and this is really how I got my start with tarot and magic and everything, was really just disbelieving all of it and then testing it like a true little nerdy Hermione. I just wanted to know how it worked. I wasn't going to take it at face value. My partner at the time, I asked her to turn around, and I told her like what I would be doing, but I just wanted her to tell me if she could feel anything and like specifically where. So she turned around, so she had her whole back to me, and it was shirtless, so we weren't doing anything weird. I'm just saying it matters, because to me I was like, I want to know if you can feel this. So the way that I did this is that I concentrated all my energy on my right hand, because I learned that whatever your dominant hand is where you typically will send energy from, and your passive your non-dominant hand you would sort of receive energy from. So typically that for a right-handed person would be right hand send, left hand receive, right? So that's remained true for me to this day. But anyway, so I had my partner turn around, and all I did was basically hold my hand like out like this, I feel like, but with my fingertips like sort of pointed. I may have just used a single finger. It may have just been a single finger sort of pointed at her back. And I'm talking, there was distance, like at least 6 to 8 inches of distance from her skin. And she couldn't see me. There was no mirrors or windows. And this mattered to me because I was like, I don't know if this is legit, right? And anyways, so I pointed my finger and I started moving it very, very slowly in a shape. And she was she was very like, none of this stuff is real. Like, this is all whatever. So she was humoring me at the end of the day. And she almost immediately could feel it. She was able to describe it. For her, it was a very strong tingle, not a tickle, something stronger than that, but not hot or necessarily cold, just very tingly or electric feeling. And she was able to tell me specifically where on her back I was, like verbally, without looking, without seeing, and with no touch. And there was too much distance for me to believe that she could feel the heat from my hand. Now, I strongly believe anybody who wants to dip into, or suggest anyways, anybody who struggles like I do with like wanting to really intellectually wrap your brain around things, to do these kinds of experiments for yourself, to see what it feels like, to see if it feels real. So that to me was the confirmation that, okay, there's something happening here. And really, I started to do any energetic exercise I did after that. I felt like I was able to tune in pretty quickly to. And I think it's because I got rid of that barrier to belief, if that makes sense. I sort of took down my own walls so that when I was working with energy, I was open to it and sensitive to it, and not assuming that it was fake, if that makes sense. Now, again, your mileage may vary. This may not be your experience, but it was mine. And it really opened up an entirely new magical world for me. In Circle with my friends of that time, the way we would cast Circle typically is we would all sit in a circle, and we would literally, it's the most incredible thing, and it's still something that is my favorite way to cast Circle to this day, but we would literally pass energy from hand to hand. So I guess we didn't really have any left-handed people in the group, or it didn't matter, but like we all sent from our right hand and then received from the left. So one person would start, typically the high priestess would start, and she would send the energy out from her right hand. I can feel it right now. It's so trippy to me. Anyway, so she would send it out. Then the next person would receive it, pull it through them, and then send it on. And we would do this in the circle until the circle was complete back at the high priestess again. And then we would slowly form our circle. And circle casting is its own thing, but that is really how we did that. And so I could feel, it never ceases to amaze me that I could feel the energy pass from one of us to the other. And it also never ceased to amaze me that different people's energy would feel slightly different depending on who was passing off the energy to me. That kind of lived experience of energy manipulation for sure transformed the way that I view and work with energy forever. And I'm incredibly grateful that I was able to have those experiences. But if you're in a situation where you're not necessarily surrounded by a bunch of people like playing around with energy, there's some ways that you can work with energy yourself. And I think that if you can tune into what it feels like for you, it can really unlock doors for you in how you work with cards, but also how you engage with the world. It can really open up your awareness to when you are maybe being affected by other people's actual energy, and maybe even how to shield yourself. Again, these are topics for the future, but just know that if you can find a way to connect with this concept in a way that works for you and feels correct or true or meaningful for you, it can really create an entire foundation for magical work, which is why I wanted to cover this so early in this series. In any case, let me talk to you about a few ways that you can work with beginning to sense and feel energy. My favorite way to learn this is to start with yourself. So the way that I learned how to sense energy within myself and manipulate energy from just myself was to work between the palms. So hands are very, very sensitive. So is your face. We have lots and lots of nerve endings on our hands. But the way that I would work it is I would start with my hands together, and some practitioners or authors or teachers would recommend in the beginning when you're trying to sense this that you would start off by generating a lot of heat between your hands. This does make it easier, but to me, I was worried that it would trick my brain, and I didn't want to trick my brain. I wanted to actually sense it. But if that makes it easier for you, then you can clap your hands a few times or you can rub your hands vigorously together. But basically, you want to concentrate on the intention that you want to sense the energy between your hands. And then you start to just slowly pull your hands away and see if you can begin to feel something between your hands, something other than just heat. Although I will say that some people, a lot of people, and myself included, feel energy as heat. But for example, I'm in front of a window, it's winter. My heater in front of me is off. The rest of my body feels completely normal, and there is a ton of heat between my hands right now, more than there should be, particularly since I did not just clap my hands or rub them vigorously together. And so when you start to feel that sensation, some people will feel it as warmth. Some people might feel it as coolness. Some, like my ex-partner, would feel it like tingling or electric. Some people like a buzzing. And sometimes you don't feel it physically so much as you can kind of sense a bit of almost like a magnetism or like push-pull kind of feeling. So I've heard it described a bunch of ways. For me, it's typically heat or tingle or pulling that I feel. And so once I feel it, I can pull my hands a little further apart and then a little further apart, and I can still feel it. And then you can try, so like right now I've got my dominant hand we're sort of bouncing the energy back and forth. These two hands, my hands are bouncing the energy back and forth. If you want to start to feel the shape of it, you can begin to sort of form it, if that makes sense. So right now it's just sort of this like mass between my hands, but I could imagine forming it into more of a ball and sort of like pulling it in at the top instead of containing it. And I used to do this a lot. In fact, my friends back in the mid-90s, my friends and I would have energy ball fights, which I've talked about before on the channel. Makes me sound, I know, but like it was amazing. It was so fun. But anyways, you can form a ball. Once you have a ball, you can then do something with that, right? You don't have to even have a ball. You can keep it, you can kind of compact it, make it really small. And what I find really fascinating about this practice is that when I have a bigger sphere, at least initially, it feels kind of weaker, if that makes sense. And then as I continue to hold it and contain it and build it, it gets warmer again, which is so bizarre because my hands are so far apart right now and I can still feel the heat, which is crazy to me. But that's how it's always been. Something else that you can do if you want to sense energy and you're having a hard time feeling it for yourself is you can sense it off of plants. Trees are really great for this. If you want to really sense like a tree's energy or a plant that you have a connection to, like maybe you have a plant you've been caring for in your home, you could like try sensing that plant's energy. And the idea is not to pull from it so much as just to tap into it and be able to feel it. And I know we're way far down in it right now, but this is the stuff that really gets me excited because this foundation of being able to sense and feel energy, it opens up so many doors. So another thing that you might already have some experience with, or you might have heard people talk about, is sensing energy from crystals. So one of the reasons that, now that I'm all awake and tapped in, it's so cool. But anyways, one of the things that you might hear people talking about is sensing energy from stones, from just rocks that you find, shells, things like that, or actual like crystal stones, right? So I have a couple here examples. This one because it was my first one, so it's really, really buzzy for me personally, and this one. And also because these two feel so different from me, or to me rather, not from me. These feel so different to me. So this crystal, this is a clear quartz. This is an example to me of a very charged and kind of buzzy crystal. So if I really focus, especially near the point, which my poor point is not perfect anymore on this crystal because it's been banged around a lot. But if I imagine sort of feeling outside, and it's going to be easier for me on my left hand, just above and outside of the point, and I really tune in on wanting to feel the energy from this particular crystal, then I can start to feel it almost like a little laser beam, but it doesn't feel like laser. Again, cool, tingling. This one feels sort of, when you hear people talk about like higher frequency or higher vibe, this is a higher frequency, higher vibe feeling crystal to me. And I'm not really sensitive to crystals. I feel crystals less than I feel my own physical energy, like I was just demonstrating. But with this, I can feel it. And so this particular crystal, because I've been working with it, I got this literally like in my early days as a witch. So I've had this crystal for 25 years, 26 years, a long time. Okay. And this crystal specifically, I used to use a lot specifically for card reading. So I would use it. It actually used to live with my soul cards deck. I would pull it out anytime I was reading for friends or family. This was sort of my personal satellite, so to speak, for sort of tapping in, tuning in, and creating energy around the reading. But being able to feel a crystal is really handy. Now, this is another good example for me. This is a golden healer. I picked this crystal up. Gosh, I can't remember. I think it was at my local metaphysical shop. It's just beautiful. It's got these like sort of, I don't know much about golden healers as a crystal, but what I do know is that when I hold this, it feels, I almost instantly get more relaxed. Like I feel like my shoulders soften. Yeah, can't talk either. I feel like my shoulders soften. I feel as though it slows me down a little. Like I even feel that it's hard for me to talk quicker when I'm holding this, which some of you guys are like, what? It's just, it feels mellow. The energy in this feels mellow. And I will say that I know people who work with crystals who they feel wildly different to them. I've had some really strong feelings from some crystals, and some kind of get murky and start to blend together a little. But there are some that are unmistakable. If you really want to really tap into this, get your hands on a piece of Tektite, like a, what's the one everybody's always talking about? The little green one. I have a little piece of it. What's it called? Oh my gosh, somebody's yelling at their screen right now. It's so, so strong. It's like meteorite, Tektite. I'm spacing. I'll put it on the screen. Editing me is going to be so annoyed because I totally know the name of this crystal, and I have a chunk of it. But anyways, Tektites, anything that's there's certain crystals that are kind of known for being extra like potent feeling. Feeling or getting your hands on one of those and seeing how they feel can be really great. Experimenting with different stones and seeing if you can feel them is a great way to experiment. And some people will, like a crystal is a crystal is a crystal, and they won't feel a whole lot off of these. Some people will do better within the natural world. Like you might really be able to sense the energy of the moon, for example, or of, like I mentioned before, trees or a plant you're bonded to. You might really sense the energy from a pet easily. There's certain places or types of interactions where you'll be able to feel energy more easily. And some people will never feel it. They'll more internally sense it. So for me, it's always been a physically felt sensation. But I can't make a case for how that's possible other than like a previous rant about quantum physics. But for me, it's hard to describe. I feel it as a physical sensation. And whether that's happening literally in my mind or not, I have no way to know. But right now, if I put my hands on my legs, which I'm in shorts, my hands feel warm, but they don't feel unusually warm, but like they feel hot right now because I've been playing with and manipulating energy. So with all of these energetic sensations and babbles about how to connect to and feel energy aside, I'd like to bring you over to my reading table and talk about how this is really helpful with working with cards and the ways in which I use energetic manipulation or energetic sensing in my card readings. So let me flip you over to my reading table. I'll see you in a second. Okay, now here we are at my reading table. The tarot deck I'm going to use for this portion of our video today is the Fortuna Tarot. This is the Amethyst Aura edition, and this was sent to me. Before we get into the card reading, I should give you a little hint that we're going to be doing something very special with some things here by Studio Artemy over here on the right. So you'll want to stay tuned to the end of this video for sure. I probably should have dropped that hint at the beginning, but I forgot. So those of you who've watched this far, you are in the know. All right. So I picked this because I feel like it has a really magical vibe, and I thought it'd just be really fun to use for this demonstration. But coming back to sensing energy, so a few things. When we can sense and manipulate energy, we have the opportunity to do different things with our cards. For example, we can charge them with a particular purpose, and let me pause and define charging. So to me, charging is when you build up energy. So such as when it's doing it again. Such as when I'm not even trying, but now it's like I'm in the headspace, right? But anyways, when you create like an energetic ball between your hands and you really focus on sort of feeding it your intention and your purpose, say to create more potency in your readings, more deeper messages, more profound messages, etc. So you can create this sort of energetic ball or chunk of energy, however you want to view it, right? But you create this sort of potent energy. And as you're doing this with your hands apart, you can literally focus on the sensation of energy, focus on building it, making it stronger. And as you build it and make it stronger, when you're ready with intention, you can basically push that down into your cards. like I've just done here. And now your cards have that imbued energy in it. So you can push all kinds of energetic intentions into your cards. Now, if you're going to do this, I said gonna weird, but anyways, if you're going to do this, I recommend that if you then choose to gift that deck, rehome that deck, sell it, trade it, whatever, that you also take the time to clear it of your personal, all that personal intention, all that personal energy before you pass it on. I think that's just the like responsible thing to do if you're going to be putting energies into your cards. And I do this occasionally with decks that are important to me or special to me. I will sort of charge them and imbue them with my energy. Now, another way you can do that, instead of sort of creating this sort of sphere of energy and then pushing it down into your cards, is you can literally, and those of you, I do some spell work behind the scenes with my Magical and Badass Unicorns in my membership, and they'll see me do this all the time. I've also done some spell work here on the public channel as well. But one of the things I like to do when I'm charging things is, instead of bringing my hands up here and then sort of pushing the energy down, what I like to do instead is bring my hands to either side and use this as the space that I'm charging with that energy and creating that sense of heat or tingliness or whatever you feel energy as, while focusing on an intention. And that's really the key to, I think, any kind of magical or energetic work, is that you're focusing on an intention. You're not just sort of blindly putting energy in. If you do that, you could be actually pushing in things that you don't want into your deck. But I might do it like this. And there's lots of different ways we can energetically charge decks, but I'm really focusing on that sort of tactile or more hands-on version of working with energy. And if you guys want to talk about different ways we can charge and add energy to decks, we can definitely do that in a future episode of Magic of Divination. But in any case, so you can actually charge your deck. You can also, of course, what's the word I'm looking for? You can clear your deck. So one way you can clear your deck is to sort of imagine, instead of pushing energy in, imagine that you're pulling it out. So for me, I might actually imagine that I'm sort of like this, like sort of pulling energy away from the deck, pulling it off of the deck, sort of clearing it, right? I'm not doing that now because I don't really want to pull the energy away, but you can do that. You just do it with intention. Like imagine drawing away, washing away, however it makes sense for you. So there's ways you can do it that way. But when we get down to the practicalities, actually one more thing. So you can clear your deck, you can charge your deck. You can also protect or create a bit of a protection space around your reading. And this goes back to sort of the topic of circle casting, but you can start with sort of an energetic sphere, right? Even if you start here around your deck, as a form of protection to sort of create a container around the reading. And this goes back to, or sort of builds on, our previous topic from last time, which we covered sacred space, creating sacred space. But you can sort of create this sort of energetic bubble. Imagine it as like a shield around your deck, and then just gradually grow that bubble bigger and bigger until it takes over your whole table, takes over even beyond you, so that you're also in the bubble with your deck. If you're going to do that during a reading, I recommend that when you're finished, you bring that energy back down. And you can do that by just pulling it in, drawing it in back towards the center, and sort of grounding it out through the ground. I feel like there's so many places I could go. And I want to not get too deep, and it's hard for me not to, but trying to keep it focused, energetic, lots of things you can do to manipulate energy into and out of your deck for sure. But the most frequent way that I use energy when I'm working with tarot is to sense energy as a means of drawing cards. This is really a fantastic method if you have a deck that's a little too big or it's hard to shuffle. So we have decks, I mean, I like to shuffle and do this, but sometimes if I have a particularly awkward deck, I'll go right to the energetic method for pulling cards. So for example, my method for sensing energy in cards, my favorite one for sensing energy and then using that energy to draw the cards, is to focus on the cards and do whatever I need to do with them, no matter what size they are. Just do some sort of manipulation of the cards. And as you do this manipulation, shuffling, mixing, doing what I'm doing here, hand over handing it, whatever you do, while you're doing this, you're focusing on your question, like what you're going to be pulling cards for, just like you would when you're shuffling a tarot deck to get ready to do a reading, which I guess we haven't really covered, but is something that's pretty common. Is as you're shuffling, you're focusing on the intention for your reading. Why are you pulling cards? What's the plan, right? And so as you're doing that, you're focusing on the intention for the reading, and then when you're ready, you sort of collect your deck together, and you put it on your table and you fan it. Now this is a really great fun thing to do. It's one of the reasons I like fanning decks in my videos a lot of times, because I like to see how they do this. Now, the stereotypical way to do this is to fan your cards and then to take your receptive hand. For me, that's my left hand, your feeling hand, the one that's going to sense the energy the easiest, and then start to hover it over your cards. Now, I personally find this easier to do, and I find it more meaningful when I close my eyes. So I'll often close my eyes as I hover my hand over the cards. And what I'm feeling for overall is I'm feeling feeling for the energy of the deck in general. But then I'm looking for energy that jumps out at me. Anything that feels like it's pulling at my hand, like sort of tugging, or pushing up towards my hand. Any kind of sensation where it feels hotter or tinglier or colder, depending on how you sense energy. This will be different for you. And then so I hover over the cards, and when I get a little pulley spot or a warm spot, I'll pause and put my finger down. And whatever card that is, I'll pull it out. And so that would be the first card for my reading. And then I would do that the whole way through. Now, this is in practice the pretty version of what I think this looks like. I'm going to show you the way it usually looks like when I do it in a moment. But this is the sort of like really thoughtful, slow way that I would often do it. So I ended up with the 7 of coins, the 8 of keys, which are the wands in this deck, if I remember correctly. Oh, are they the swords? I can't remember. And then the 8 of pentacles, 2 8s, which is super interesting. And now I need to know, are they, yeah, the wands are candles, so the keys are swords. So anyways, that's how I would do it if I was really going in a more ritual, serious, slow way. But y'all know me, I'm a little bit slapdash a lot of the time. So let me show you the slapdash version of this. So for me, the slapdash version of this same concept, again, we still want to focus on our question while we're shuffling. I'll still fan out my cards, but it'll look a little bit quicker, something like this. I'll get my hands on the cards. I'll really feel them and touch them. And then I'll be just like, okay, where am I feeling it? And I try not to overthink. I go really quick. And I'm like, okay, it's that one. It's that one. And it's that one. And a lot of this too is about self-trust, right? And let's pretend for a moment that you don't believe any of the energetic stuff, which is totally fine, by the way, of course. There's nothing wrong with that. But let's say you don't believe in any of that energetic stuff. At a minimum, by spreading the cards out and then sort of randomly pulling cards like that, it's a great way to pull cards from a deck that's otherwise unwieldy, difficult to shuffle, sticky. Something else you can do. Let's say you've now pulled your cards. Let's pull out a few more. Let's say you've pulled your cards, however you've pulled them. Let's say you've just done a regular shuffle and draw, okay? So you've pulled your cards. These are so pretty. Dang it. I love this deck so much. Okay, so you've pulled them all out. They're all out. They're looking beautiful, feeling super magical. All right, so you've pulled them all out. Then if you're reading for yourself especially, you can do this for others too if you don't care. Like I get a little self-conscious sometimes about what others will think when I do all my kooky stuff, but like if you don't care, this is great to do with others too. But it's to sort of then, once the cards are out, take a moment and feel for, or even look at them and see if anything sort of energetically you feel any kind of pulse or pull or magnetic kind of draw to any one card over the others. Like in this particular moment, looking at these, the one that my eyes keep going to is this 9 of keys, the 9 of swords. Very, very interesting. Gosh, this deck, by the way, I know how the camera is picking up on this foil. It looks exactly the same to me in person. It's unbelievable. Anyway, so this is the thing, right? So then when you figure out which card or cards is kind of feels stronger to you, that can help you as a reader to then know what card is giving you more right now, which is carrying more emphasis. We'll often look to what card is sort of carrying more weight by way of looking at major arcana cards. For example, here we've got the Seeker, the Hermit, and Judgment, all 3 major arcana cards, but this wasn't where I was feeling the weight or the energetic pull. It was to here. So it gives you kind of different ways to work with your cards, to put more emphasis on different cards. And another way, so let's get away from this sort of version of doing this. Another way that some people will sense energy when they're pulling cards is just in simply knowing when the deck is ready to be used. So a lot of us, you'll see sometimes we'll obnoxiously shuffle for a long time. I'm one of these, right? We'll shuffle for a long time, and what I'm waiting for, I'm shuffling into my receptive hand. And what I'm waiting for is a feeling like the deck feels like it's finished. And to me, that's a form of sensing energy. And I bet a lot of us do that and don't even think about what that's all about. But that moment when we just sort of feel like, okay, it's good now, it's done, it's ready. That's a type to me of sensing the deck's energy and when the deck is letting you know it's ready. So I really feel like a lot of times we're working with energy without really even thinking about it too much. But I really enjoy that process. And I even do it when I do my monthly member readings. I do them for my Magical and Badass Unicorn tier. Once a month I do readings, and I do a lot of readings in a day. Like those streams are often like 5+ hours long. So they're very quick. They're quick fire readings. They're snappy. And I'm doing a lot of shuffling. And even in those, every once in a while, I'll just feel like I need to do one of these and pull my cards this way, right? And there's something about that that just really works in that moment. So I do it even then, even when I don't have a lot of physical space, because I do those seated in front of my camera, so it's a little bit of a different setup. I don't have as much physical space. I've got a Bruno here blessing my cards. But yeah, so that is one of the things that I really like to do to pull sensing energy into magical work. But there's more than this too. You can even really charge yourself in a way. You know, when you really sense and get your hands really buzzy and energy, tapped into energy, I feel like you then bring that energy into the process and the practice of reading, and it can make you feel, I think, really in your power and in your confidence when you're reading cards. So that's also a benefit. But yeah, I'm not trying to necessarily, I sound like I'm trying to sell you this practice, and I'm really not. I want to share with people who haven't maybe had the opportunity to play with this sort of stuff to see if it resonates and how it resonates and if it feels good to you. And that's really the crux of it. But I love pulling energy into the things that I do magically. It's uncommon for me to do even a basic reading without using some of this energetic stuff, because it's something I've been doing for 25 years. You know, it's something that I've been doing for so long that it's sort of embedded in how I work with any sort of magical tool, any sort of divination, or even just the way that I prep a space. You know, I'll often take a moment to like run my hands along it. To me, that's sort of clearing the space and prepping it. I feel like I could make a 4 or 5 hour video about this topic. So please, if you have questions, and definitely stay tuned, by the way, I'm not totally wrapping up. We have that thing happening soon. But anyways, if you have questions about working with energy and how, like questions about it, or questions on follow-up topics to this that you want me to cover, or any topic around the woo side of all of this that you want me to cover in a future Magic of Divination series video, please drop that in the comments below. I got some great suggestions last month that have made it onto the list. So please, if you've got things that you want me to cover in this, I'm really happy to dip into just about everything as long as I personally understand it or can wrap my mind around it enough to share it with you guys. So drop that stuff down below. We'll definitely talk about more things related to all of this fun woo stuff. But I'm having so much fun with this series, and it's so much fun to be able to bring some of this sort of magical, less tangible stuff back into this tarot tube world. So I'm really having a lot of fun with it. And I would love to hear your thoughts or experiences with energy down below. And that might also be helpful for anybody who stumbles on this video if you share some of your experiences, the ways in which energy work has helped you or has connected with you. I think that's really great. I will ask that the comment section stay, as always, a safe space where we keep our comments constructive. If this stuff is not for you, that's totally fine. Completely understand, and I'll see you in the next video. No big deal. But let's not trample on it for anybody else. That would be the thing I would ask. So in any case, let me show you what we're going to do next, because I'm really excited about it. So this deck is beautiful. It is the one that sort of stole my heart. This Fortuna Tarot comes in a few different colorways. So there's this version, the Amethyst Aura. There's also a green version, which I've previously given away on this channel, because these decks were really generously sent to me by the creator of the Fortuna Tarot, so Studio Artemy. And I was recently sent some beautiful things by Studio Artemy, including this Fortuna version. Not Fortuna version, the Amethyst, no, I can't talk. The Opal Omen version of this deck. I'm going to get it out eventually. The Opal Omen version, which is absolutely beautiful. Now, I think this might be a limited edition version of this deck. So the one that I showed you is the Amethyst. This one has just a gorgeous, completely different vibe, which in theory should have been right up my alley. And I'm sorry, because it should have been. I'm sorry to myself too. But for some reason, I just really love that purple one the most. But these backings are so beautiful. So it's the same sort of deal as the one I just showed you, only this one has rainbow gold foiling. So it's sort of gold, but it flashes. See if I can get it to, there we go. So you can see it's still got that rainbow quality. It's really, really spectacular, just like with the Amethyst one. You can really catch the rainbows. But then on the other side, and it's got this really pretty sort of salmony colored edging. And then on this side, it's just the same, only it's got this kind of cream background. So this one's really soft. Now these decks, all of them, no matter which colorway you choose, looks beautiful under candlelight. But in any case, this one was sent to me by Studio Artemy, and I'd like to give it away. So I'm going to be giving away this deck, and I'll tell you how to enter in just a moment. So this is going to be one of the prizes that we're going to give away. As always, my giveaways are open to those who are 18 and over. It's open worldwide, provided I am allowed legally to ship and can ship to your location. I will ship to you, so no problem there. So this will be one prize. Studio Artemy also sent me this beautiful Clavis Aurea grimoire. I've shown this before on the channel. I really thought that this was something I was going to keep, but I have another Book of Shadows that I've been working with, and it's really easy for me to hoard and acquire beautiful blank books like this and then not use them. So I'm going to pry this out of my hands and send it along to somebody else who can get more use out of it. But it's really, really gorgeous. Just beautiful production quality with these pages where you have one side lined and one side blank. So if you're wanting to create a bit of a book of shadows or a grimoire, this is such a beautiful, beautiful tool for that. And I just, oh, it's so pretty. And it has a built-in bookmark, ribbon bookmark sewn in. Really lovely construction. Gorgeous book. Has a bit of a sort of soft touch style to the cover. Just stunning. Anyway, so this will be another prize. This is the Clavis Aurea. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Grimoire. So that will be another prize. And then also, she had sent me this beautiful dream journal. So this is the Oneria Dream Journal. And these both have the rainbow gold foiling on them also. They're just really, really gorgeous. The Dream Journal has a gold satin bookmark on it. Same construction, same style of cover. Beautiful rainbow edged pages. These both have. Super pretty. This one, when you go into it, the pages are designed for dream tracking. So you have a place to note the moon, the date of the week, or sorry, the day of the week, the date, the time, the moon sign, Mercury sign, any astrological notes, and then different things that showed up in your dream, some keywords, how you felt, atmosphere, location, more places for you to write your dream, and then a place for you to analyze your dream. And that's what this entire book is about. So you have a place to do dream tracking. So same as with the grimoire, I have other journals where I can do that sort of work, and I don't typically do a lot of dream journaling to begin with. So 3 prizes, and I will basically pick winners for all 3. So these are the 3 prizes, or the 3 things you can that you can enter to win. It will be sort of in order. So I'll pick the first winner. We'll do it in whatever order. So we'll draw for the Fortuna, we'll draw for the grimoire, and we'll draw for the dream journal. So it's kind of an all or nothing deal, so you're just entering to win whatever you get picked for. So if you would like to enter, here's how it's going to work. Remember, you must be 18 years of age or older. The giveaway is not affiliated with YouTube in any way. This is just me doing my thing. I will ship internationally, provided I'm allowed to and can ship to you. And that is about it as far as the rules. How to enter, just enter Fortuna in the comments somewhere below. So no hashtag, just the word Fortuna, Fortuna, somewhere in your comment, or you can make a comment just with the word. It doesn't matter if it's in the middle of a longer comment or it's all by itself. We use a comment picking tool that will look for that word in your comment, and that's how it will draw winners. So that's how we will do that. I will draw the winner for this about a week from the day that this is going up. So this is going up on a Saturday. So next weekend, I will draw a winner for this, and I will post the winner in the community tab. So make sure that you're subscribed and keep an eye on the community tab to see if you won. So I will post the screenshot of the winner being picked, and I'll do that. There'll be 3 winners. So somebody will win this, somebody will win this, and somebody will win this. So keep an eye out for that. And all you have to do, as I said, is just enter the word Fortuna down below. Please make sure you're subscribed and you click the bell so that you get that notification when I announce the winner. Winner will just need to email me with their shipping information, and I'll get this popped in the mail for you. In any case, thank you guys so much for all of your enthusiasm about the Magic of Divination series. I'm having a ton of fun with this. I'm so pleased to be able to do these videos. They're like literally inspiring me right now to be able to talk about all this stuff. So thank you so much for all of your kindness and your warm reception to the series. It's really, really making me excited to do more and more of them. So keep your eyes peeled for the next one, probably next month. And until then, may your magic always shine from the inside out. Bye!